Virgo, of all the signs, you are the most qualified to read the small signs. Your attention to detail, your pattern recognition, your ability to notice what is hidden in plain sight. These qualities exist precisely for moments like this one. The biggest changes in a life do not always arrive with obvious announcements. They build quietly in the details, in the small shifts that most people dismiss but that you, Virgo, know how to read. And yet, even you, the most observant of all signs, can sometimes overlook what is closest to you. You can look outward with such precision while missing the signals that are meant specifically for your own life, your own path, your own unfolding story. That is why this message is here today. Not to tell you something you cannot understand because you are more than capable of understanding it, but to point your brilliant, detail-oriented mind in exactly the right direction. These 10 small signs are telling you something enormous is approaching. Something that has been building in the background of your life with the same quiet efficiency that you bring to everything you do. And just as you would never dismiss a small but meaningful data point in any system you were carefully analyzing, do not dismiss what you are about to hear. It was meant for you. It is already in motion. And your ability to read it clearly is precisely the gift that will allow you to receive it fully. 1. Your sleep has changed. Your mind is processing something significant even in the hours when it should be resting. You have always been someone who notices the condition of your sleep. It is a data point, a health signal, a window into the inner workings of your careful and precise mind. And lately, something has shifted. Perhaps you are waking at unusual hours with no clear reason. Perhaps your dreams have become more vivid, more layered, more filled with imagery that feels meaningful even when you cannot fully decode it. Perhaps you are simply finding it harder to turn your mind off when the day ends, not because of anxiety exactly, but because something deeper is quietly active, working through material that is larger than your daytime awareness can fully hold. This is not a problem, Virgo. This is a sign. Your mind, that extraordinary, tireless, deeply intelligent mind, does not rest in a way that is separate from your growth. Processes. It sorts. It reorganizes. And when it begins doing this work at the level of depth that disrupts ordinary sleep, it is because the material it is working with is of genuine consequence. Something significant is moving through your awareness, even in the quiet hours. Something is being prepared for you internally before it becomes visible externally. Think about moments in your life when this kind of disrupted, active sleep preceded a meaningful change. For most Virgo people, if you trace back honestly to the transitions that mattered most, the ones that reshaped how you lived, what you valued, who you were, you will find that in the weeks or months before those changes became clear, your sleep shifted first. Your body and your subconscious mind received the signal before your waking, analyzing mind could articulate what was coming. So when your sleep changes in this particular way, not from worry, not from noise, not from an obvious disturbance, but from a kind of deep inner activity that you cannot quite name, pay attention. This is your system running a process of genuine importance. This is the beginning of something bigger than a single restless night. Your mind is working on something that matters deeply, and it is working on it in the hours when everything else is quiet because those are the hours when the most essential processing can happen without interruption. Allow it. Do not fight the wakefulness. Do not diagnose it as a problem to be corrected. Sit with it. Notice what comes up in those quiet, unusual hours. Notice what thoughts surface, what images arrive, what feelings move through you without the daytime noise to drown them out. The thing your mind is preparing is not separate from the change that is approaching. It is the foundation of it. And your ability to be present to this process, your willingness to let your remarkable mind do the work it is doing, is part of what will allow the coming change to arrive with clarity and purpose rather than confusion. Something enormous is building. And it is beginning here, in the quiet recalibration of your sleep. 2. A quiet longing you thought you had fully analyzed and set aside has returned with unexpected persistence. You are not someone who gives in easily to longing. That is not your nature. When something feels impractical, when a desire seems out of step with the careful order of your life, when a want cannot be justified by your precise and honest analysis, you have a remarkable ability to file it away, to examine it, reach a conclusion about its viability, and move it to a compartment in your mind that you have labeled not now, or not realistic, or simply done. You are methodical like that. You are thorough. You trust your own thinking. But here is what is happening right now and why it matters so much. Something you placed in that compartment, Something you genuinely believed you had processed and set aside has returned. Not with drama, not with urgency that you could dismiss as mere emotion. With something quieter and more persistent than that. A kind of low, steady pull. A sense that this thing, this longing, this possibility, this direction has not actually completed itself. That the analysis you ran on it, as careful as it was working from information that was incomplete. That you reached your conclusion before all the evidence was in. Virgo, the return of a longing is not a sign that you were weak in setting it aside. It is a sign that the universe has continued working on your behalf, even while you had filed the matter away. Something has changed. Either the conditions have shifted, or your own inner readiness has deepened to a point that was not present the first time, or the path that seemed blocked has quietly opened in a way you have not yet seen clearly. The return of this particular longing at this particular time is not random. Your pattern recognition mind already senses that. It is the very quality of its persistence, the fact that it has returned without being called, without obvious provocation, that marks it as significant. Do not file it away again. Not yet. This time, stay with it a little longer. Let yourself look at it from the place you are now, not the place you were when you first set it aside. You are not the same person you were then. Your understanding has deepened. Your capacity has grown. And the thing you long for may not require what you thought it required at the time you concluded it was not possible. It may be asking only for your willingness to look at it again with fresh eyes, through the lens of who you have become rather than who you were. The quiet return of a genuine longing is one of the most reliable signals the universe sends to a Virgo. Because you do not indulge longing lightly. You are not someone who chases feelings for the sake of them. When something returns to you with this kind of steady, patient persistence after you believed it was resolved, it is returning because it belongs to what is coming next. It is part of the enormous change that is quietly building in your life. And it deserves your attention, your honest reconsideration, and your willingness to remain open to what it is actually pointing toward. If what you are hearing feels accurate, know that it could happen if you applied this energy consistently for 21 consecutive days. That is the 21-day challenge pinned at the top of this channel. It is built around daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you are tired of staying in the same cycle, that structure is exactly what has been missing. 3. You are noticing things you have always walked past, details that now seem to carry specific meaning. Your observational abilities have always been exceptional. You notice what others miss. This is not an exaggeration. It is simply a description of how Virgo operates in the world. Your eyes catch the discrepancy, the misalignment, the pattern, the small thing out of place. But something different is happening now. It is not just that you are noticing details. It is that specific details, ones you have encountered many times before, are suddenly landing differently. They seem to carry weight they did not carry before. A phrase you have read a dozen times suddenly reads as if it is speaking to you directly. A scene you have passed hundreds of times on your usual path suddenly makes you stop. A name, a number, a combination of small things arrives with a sense of recognition that your analytical mind cannot immediately explain away. This is meaningful, Virgo. Not because the external world has changed, though it may have in ways not yet visible. It is meaningful because your inner world has changed. Perception shifts when the interior shifts. When something significant is approaching in your life, your awareness opens in ways that allow meaning to flow through channels that were previously closed or simply unnoticed. You begin to see the message that has been written into the ordinary details of your day because you have become, without necessarily realizing it, ready to receive it. The things you are noticing now are not coincidences in the dismissive sense of the word. They are synchronicities, moments where the inner and the outer align in ways that carry information. And because you are Virgo, you do not need to descend into vague mysticism to understand this. Think of it practically. Your awareness is a filter. When the filter shifts, when something changes in what you are ready to perceive, new information comes through. You are walking the same paths, reading the same materials, having ordinary conversations. But your filter has changed. Your readiness has changed. And so the meaning that was always present in the details is now reaching you in a way it could not before. Pay careful attention to what specifically is catching your eye. Your pattern recognition mind is not misfiring. It is operating at a higher level of sensitivity because something significant is approaching, and your system is preparing you to navigate it with the awareness and precision that the moment will require. The things you are noticing are not random. They are data points in a picture that is beginning to form. And you, of all the signs, are perfectly equipped to read that picture accurately, if you trust what your sharpened awareness is bringing to your attention. Do not dismiss what feels like it carries meaning. Write it down if you need to. Sit with it. Let your remarkable mind observe the pattern of what is finding you. Because what is finding you now is the preparation for what is coming. And what is coming is very significant. 4. Someone has appeared in your life more than once and your pattern recognition mind has flagged it as non-random. Virgo is not someone who becomes easily convinced by single occurrences. 1 data point is interesting. 2 is notable. 3 begins to form a pattern. And your mind, that precisely calibrated, deeply analytical mind, has registered that a particular person has appeared in your awareness or your actual life more than once in a way that does not feel like the ordinary rhythm of circumstance. Feels non-random. And your pattern recognition, which has never been wrong in its essential instincts, has flagged it. This matters. Not because you should leap to conclusions, that is not your way and it is not what this message is suggesting. But because the repeated, unexplained appearance of a specific person in a Virgo's life, at a specific time, is one of the ways the universe introduces the people who belong to the next chapter. Not always in a dramatic way. Not always with a grand entrance that makes the significance obvious immediately. Often with precisely this kind of quiet, repeated presence that accumulates until the pattern becomes undeniable. Who is this person? They may be someone who has entered your immediate daily life through a new connection. They may be someone you keep encountering in unexpected contexts. They may be someone whose name or image or work keeps finding you through indirect channels. The particulars matter less than the quality of the signal. And the signal you are receiving is the one your own highly accurate mind has recognized. This is not random. The question to sit with is not only who this person is, but what they represent. Sometimes a person who enters a Virgo's life at a moment of transition is a direct participant in what is coming. A relationship, a collaboration, a mentor, a friend whose specific presence opens doors or provides exactly the kind of understanding that this next chapter requires. Other times, the person is a mirror. Someone whose presence helps you see yourself, your desires, your readiness, or your direction more clearly. Both are valuable. Both are meaningful. And neither arrives by accident. Your pattern recognition mind is one of your greatest gifts. Trust it here. Do not dismiss what it is telling you because the evidence is still in early stages. You do not need to act dramatically or immediately, but you do need to stay awake, stay open, and continue to pay attention to this presence. Because the reason it is in your awareness at this particular time is not a small reason. It connects to the enormous change that is quietly building, and this person, in some way that will become clearer as you remain attentive, is part of that picture. 5. A routine or system you relied on for stability is beginning to feel limiting rather than organizing. There are very few signs that understand the value of a good system the way Virgo does. You built your routines with intention. You organized your days, your habits, your methods with the kind of care and intelligence that reflects your deepest nature. These systems were not rigid for rigidity's sake. They were practical structures that allowed you to function well, think clearly, and move through your life with the efficiency and order that gives you a sense of safety and control. And for a long time, perhaps a very long time, they served you exactly as intended. But something has changed. The structure that once felt like a support now feels, at least in part, like a fence. The routine that once brought comfort is beginning to bring a quiet sense of constriction. You find yourself going through the familiar motions but feeling, in some wordless way, that you have outgrown the container. Not everything, perhaps not even most things, but there is a specific element of your established system that is no longer organizing your energy effectively. It is, instead, using energy that you sense is needed elsewhere. For something new. For something that the old system, built around an earlier version of your life, was not designed to accommodate. This is one of the most reliable signs that significant change is approaching for a Virgo. Because you do not abandon systems that are working. You are not someone who changes things for the sake of novelty or excitement. Your relationship with your routines is practical and honest. When they serve you, you keep them. When they stop serving you, you notice, and that noticing is itself a signal of the highest importance. The fact that a structure you built with care and relied on with confidence is beginning to feel limiting is not a failure of the structure. It is a sign that you have grown beyond what that structure was designed to hold. The limitation is not in the system. It is in the fit. A fit that was once perfect and is now no longer aligned with who you are becoming and what your life is preparing to include. Do not immediately tear down what you built. That is not what this moment requires. What it requires is the willingness to look honestly at which elements of your current structure are still serving you and which are now standing between you and the next level of your life. You are a brilliant builder of systems, Virgo. And the most important thing a brilliant builder can do is recognize when the current structure has fulfilled its purpose and a new one, better designed, more expansive, more aligned with where life is actually going, is ready to be created. If this message is resonating with your sign right now, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal at exactly the right moment. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support, whether as a subscriber or as a member of this community, is what keeps these messages alive. The ones that touch hearts, awaken minds, and transform lives. If this video has been making sense to you, drop in the comments the day you were born. Let us keep going. 6. Words of real meaning have been finding you through unexpected channels, conversations, readings, quiet moments. You are a person who has always respected the power of the right words. You think carefully about what you say and what you write. You notice when language is imprecise or when a phrase rings hollow. So when the opposite happens, when a word, a sentence, a passage carries a weight that lands in you with unusual depth, you feel it. You register it. And lately, this has been happening with a frequency and a consistency that your pattern-recognizing mind cannot attribute to ordinary chance. Someone says something in a casual conversation and it stops you completely. A line from something you are reading arrives as if it were written for you specifically, for this specific moment in your life. A phrase overheard in passing carries a message that seems to come from somewhere beyond the person who spoke it. Quiet moments bring words that arrive from the inside. Not the busy, analytical inner voice you are accustomed to, but something quieter and deeper, something that speaks with a clarity and authority that is different from ordinary thought. This is how the universe communicates with Virgo, not always through grand gestures or unmistakable events, because you would analyze those and find reasons to question them. Through precision, through the exact right word at the exact right time, arriving through a channel that your logical mind had not prepared itself to guard against. Because meaning, when it comes in through a channel you were not expecting, lands more directly. It reaches the part of you that is deeper than analysis. The words that have been finding you are not random. They carry specific content that relates, however indirectly, to the change that is building in your life. They speak to something you are becoming. They name something you have been feeling but not yet articulated. They point towards something you are moving toward. And they are arriving now because you are at a point in your journey where verbal clarity, the right framing, the right understanding, the right articulation of what is happening, is one of the things that will allow you to move forward with confidence rather than hesitation. Pay attention to what the words are actually saying. Write them down. Notice the pattern of meaning across the different words that have been finding you through these unexpected channels. Because your extraordinary mind, given the right material to work with, is perfectly capable of assembling the message that is coming through. And the message being assembled right now is one of the most important you have received in some time. Something enormous is being communicated to you. The means of communication is simply quieter and more precise than you might have expected, which is, when you think about it, entirely appropriate for Virgo. 7. Your emotional responses to familiar situations are quietly beginning to recalibrate. Virgo is often described as intellectual, analytical, practical, and all of that is accurate. But what is sometimes overlooked is the depth of your emotional life. You feel things profoundly. You simply tend to process those feelings internally, often leading with your thinking mind before the emotional layer becomes visible to others or even, sometimes, to yourself. But your emotional inner world is rich, intricate, and enormously influential in the choices you make and the directions you take. And right now, something is shifting in that emotional inner world. Situations that once provoked a familiar, predictable response in you are provoking something slightly different. Not dramatically different, you would have noticed that immediately. Subtly different. The edge of irritation that used to arise in a particular kind of conversation is quieter. The pleasure you found in a specific kind of achievement feels altered, either deeper or somehow insufficient, depending on which area of your life you are examining. A kind of softness is emerging in places where there was once a harder, more defended layer. Or a kind of clarity is arriving in places where there was once a more confused or ambivalent feeling. This recalibration is not something you cause deliberately. It is arising from the natural evolution of who you are becoming. And it is one of the most revealing signs that significant change is approaching, because your emotional responses are the deepest layer of your system. They shift last, after the intellectual has already processed, after the practical has already begun to reorganize. When the emotional layer begins to recalibrate, it means the change is not just on the surface. It is moving through your whole system the way a genuine transformation does. Be patient with yourself during this recalibration. You may notice that you respond to things in ways that surprise you. More gently, more firmly, more honestly, more openly than you expected. These are not mistakes or inconsistencies. They are expressions of the new configuration that is taking shape inside you. The version of you that is being called into the next chapter of your life has a slightly different emotional signature than the version of you that carried the previous chapter. That is exactly as it should be. Growth changes not just what we think and what we do, but how we feel about what we think and what we do. Notice what feels different. Be curious about it rather than anxious. Your emotional recalibration is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is profoundly right, and that you are in the midst of a shift that will serve you in ways that will become fully clear only once the change has arrived and settled. 8. You feel a clear call to organize, clear out, or simplify, as if your environment is being prepared for something new. The desire to organize is not unusual for Virgo. You are someone who naturally moves toward order. You find clarity in sorted spaces, efficiency in clean systems, peace in environments that reflect the level of care and intention you bring to everything else. So when the urge to organize arises, it might be tempting to dismiss it as simply being who you are. But there is a quality to this particular urge that is different, and you have likely sensed it even if you have not yet named it. This is not the ordinary maintenance urge. This is something more purposeful and more directed. There is a specific quality to it, a sense that things need to be cleared out, that space needs to be created, that certain items or arrangements or even certain commitments and mental clutter need to be released. Not reorganized, released. The urge is not to make your current space more efficient. It is to prepare the space, physical, mental, emotional, for something that is coming and that will require room. Room that does not currently exist because it is occupied by things that belong to a chapter that is completing. This is how Virgo's practical, detail-oriented nature participates in the process of transformation. While another sign might receive the signal of coming change as a burst of inspiration or a wave of feeling, Virgo receives it as a practical directive. Clear this. Release that. Create space here. Simplify this system. Because at some level, the part of you that is already prepared for what is coming knows that arrival requires room. And it is directing your magnificent organizational impulse toward creating exactly the right conditions. Honor this call. Do not dismiss it as a cleaning impulse or an ordinary Virgo tendency. Look at what is being called to be cleared and ask yourself honestly, does this belong to where I am going or does it belong to where I have been? The things that belong to where you have been are not failures or mistakes. They served their purpose. They were part of the chapter they belong to. But the new chapter has its own requirements, its own energy, its own material. And the space you create now is the welcome mat you are laying out for what is approaching. Something new is coming. And you, in your deeply practical, beautifully organized, profoundly intentional way, are already preparing for it. Trust the call. Follow it with confidence. The clearing you are doing right now is not housekeeping. It is preparation. And what you are preparing for is something that deserves exactly this level of care. 9. A question you had reached a conclusion on is presenting itself again, this time asking for a deeper look. You are thorough when you investigate a question. You do not reach conclusions carelessly. You gather the relevant information, you analyze it from multiple angles, you weigh the evidence, you stress test your thinking, and then when you are satisfied that you have been appropriately rigorous, you land on a conclusion and you move forward from it. This is not stubbornness. This is the responsible application of your extraordinary analytical mind. You have learned that imprecise thinking leads to imprecise outcomes, and so you do not commit to a conclusion until you are confident it is sound. So when a question you had resolved begins presenting itself again, not as a simple recurrence of doubt, but as a genuine reopening, a sense that there is a deeper layer you had not yet reached. It is worth your full attention. Because you do not typically reopen closed questions without cause. You do not revisit resolved material without a genuine signal that there is more to understand. The question that is returning right now contains something you were not ready to see the first time. Not because your original analysis was careless, it was not. But because you could only see as far as your experience and readiness allowed at the time you made your first inquiry. You have grown since then. Your life has given you new information, new experiences, new depths of understanding that simply were not available to you when you first examined this question. And now, with those new resources, the question is presenting itself again because it knows, in whatever way that a recurring question can know, that you are now equipped to arrive at a truer, more complete, more useful answer. Do not resist this reopening. Do not interpret it as evidence that you failed the first time. Interpret it as what it actually is. An invitation to the deeper level of understanding that your current growth makes possible. The question is not returning to frustrate you. It is returning to give you something more accurate, more aligned with who you are now and where you are going, than the conclusion you reached from a previous vantage point. Sit with it again. Bring everything you have learned since the first time you asked it. Let your remarkable mind go deeper than it could before. Because the answer you find at this greater depth is one of the pieces of understanding that will serve as a foundation for the extraordinary change that is building in your life. And you, Virgo, with the intellectual precision and the honest self-examination that define you, are more than ready to find it. 10. Something in your body, that precise, health-aware, deeply self-observant Virgo body, knows something is coming and is already preparing for it. Of all the signs, Virgo has one of the most conscious, attentive, and communicative relationships with the physical body. You notice sensations that others would ignore. You track patterns in your physical experience with a kind of natural awareness that is both a gift and, occasionally, a source of anxiety when what you are sensing does not have an immediate explanation. You know when your body is off in a way that is ordinary, fatigue from overwork, tension from a difficult day, and you know when something different is present, something that does not have an easy practical explanation but that nonetheless registers clearly in your awareness. Something is present right now that falls into that second category. Not an illness, not a simple stress response. Something more like a heightened state. An aliveness or alertness in your physical experience that is different from your baseline. Perhaps a kind of energy that moves through you at unusual moments. Perhaps a sensitivity in your senses that makes ordinary experiences feel slightly more vivid. Perhaps a restlessness in your body that cannot be explained by anything obvious in your current circumstances, but that carries, beneath it, a quality of anticipation. Your body is already preparing. This is what the physical system of a Virgo does when something significant is approaching. It activates in ways that precede the event, begins recalibrating its energy, begins adjusting its rhythms to accommodate what is coming. This is not metaphor. This is the deeply embodied intelligence of a sign that has always understood that the physical, the mental, and the spiritual are not separate systems. They are one integrated whole, and they move together. Trust what your body is telling you. The precise, health-conscious, deeply self-aware instrument that carries you through this life is among the most sensitive receivers of change that you possess. When it signals heightened readiness, when it registers an anticipatory aliveness that does not come from any identifiable external source, it is because something real is approaching. Something your conscious mind may not yet have full access to, but that your whole system, body included, has already registered and begun to prepare for. Something enormous is coming, Virgo. And the most honest, most attentive, most precisely calibrated instrument you have, your own body, already knows it. Listen to it. Trust it. Give it the care and rest and nourishment it is asking for, so that when the change arrives, you are not just intellectually ready but physically vital, fully present, and completely prepared to step into what has been building toward you. If this message resonated with your sign, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it always sends exactly the right signal, and you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support as a subscriber or as a member of this community is what keeps these messages alive. They are the messages that touch, awaken, and transform. If this video made sense to you, leave in the comments the day you were born. Virgo, you have always known how to read the small signs. That is not a skill you had to learn. It arrived with you, woven into your nature, expressed in every careful observation, every noticed detail, every pattern your brilliant mind has recognized across the course of your life. What this message has been asking you to do today is simply to turn that extraordinary gift inward and forward, to point it at your own life with the same precision and confidence you would bring to reading any other system you were asked to examine. The 10 signs you heard today are not abstract or metaphorical. They are real, concrete signals appearing in the actual texture of your daily experience. Your sleep, your longings, your observations, the people appearing in your life, the routines beginning to strain at their edges, the words arriving from unexpected places, the quiet recalibration happening in your emotional life, the call to clear and organize and create space, the question reopening itself at a deeper level, and the steady, anticipatory hum of a body that already knows something important is approaching. Each of these signs on its own might be easy to explain away, and you, being the thorough and skeptical and honest thinker that you are, might be tempted to apply that explanatory impulse to each one in turn. But look at them together. Apply your pattern recognition to the full picture rather than to each data point in isolation. Because when you do, when you step back and see all 10 of these signs appearing in your life at the same time, clustered together, building on each other, the pattern is unmistakable. Something enormous is building. Something that has been arranged not just for any Virgo, but for the specific version of you that has arrived at this specific moment in your story, shaped by every experience you have lived, every challenge you have navigated, every piece of growth you have quietly accumulated in your remarkable and deeply human way. The change that is coming is not something you need to force or chase or plan with excessive precision. It is already in motion. Your job, the most important job you have right now, is to remain awake to the signs, to stay open to what is arriving, and to trust that the same precise and brilliant nature that has brought you this far is exactly the nature that will carry you beautifully into what comes next. You are ready, Virgo. The signs have been saying so, and they have never been wrong.